Hello and welcome. You're watching FI. I am Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. Now, if kids are to go back to the classrooms and to offline classes, if they are to go back to their sporting events, to their art activities and all of that, then vaccinating them is going to be key. If India wants to avoid a massive third wave, then also vaccinating kids is going to be key. And India now seems to be getting a step closer to that. How? Well, with the Indian government telling the Supreme Court that as early as August, there could be a vaccine coming out which will be good to go for kids. That's for people and for children between 12 years of age and plus. So what is this new vaccine all about? How soon will it get clearance? What is the tech? Let's tell you all about that in our explainer. Now, the Indian government recently informed the courts that soon enough there will be a vaccine available for kids in India, saying that as early as August, ZyCov-D will be available for all above the age of 12. So let's tell you a little more about ZyCov-D. Well, it is developed by a Gujarat-based company called ZyCov-D. So after Covaxin, ZyCov-D would be the second made in India vaccine. But the thing here to note is that it is going to be the first COVID DNA vaccine in the world. So what is a DNA vaccine and how does it work? Well, a DNA vaccine essentially carries into the body the genetic code for that part of the virus that triggers the immune system in the body. The message is decoded then using host cells' own machinery to produce the antigen or to stimulate immune response, to simply understand, to produce antibodies. Now, this ensures that later on when you actually get in contact with the virus, your body already knows how to fight it on and fight it effectively as well. So it is in that way a little similar to what we had introduced to you earlier, the messenger RNA, but not quite. We'll tell you how. Other vaccines, for example, such as Covishield, Sputnik and Covaxin, they're all based on the established viral vector and inactivated forms and platforms as well. The tech is new, but there is advantage to that. How? Because the DNA vaccines are theoretically easy to redesign quickly to the various mutations that might be out there. Scaling up of manufacturing is also relatively easier in the DNA vaccines as it requires a biosafety level of 1, that is, it does not use a live virus. For example, Covaxin uses and would require a BSL-3 facility, much more safety and tech that is used there. And the company is setting up manufacturing plant to produce 120 million doses of ZyCov-D a year. In addition, the company also is looking at possible tie-ups with partners to add another 60 to 70 million doses with a target production capacity of 200 million doses. But the challenges, it seems to be really promising right now, but the challenges here is that it's not a single dose vaccine, not even a double dose, but it actually is a 3-dose vaccine. And doses have to be administered at day 0, day 28 and then day 56. This could lead to, as some are saying, higher pricing as well. However, so far there has been no conversation with the government of India, at least at NDTV speaking out from sources, on the pricing of this vaccine. They're still working it out. And ultimately then, let's talk about efficacy. Isn't that key then? The trial data and the efficacy is not released, but the company is testing the vaccine on around 28,216 volunteers in over 12 years of age across 60 clinical trial sites that have been set up. So that's really all you need to know about ZyCov-D. But that's not the only contender when it comes to vaccine for kids. Let's bring you who else is in the pipeline, which other vaccine is in the pipeline. Let's begin with Moderna. Well, that is, remember, the mRNA vaccine. The clinical data trial for phase 2, phase 3 studies have shown 96% efficacy, and it has been effectively administered USA as well on kids between 12 to 17 to conduct a pediatric study involving infants and much younger children. That is also going to take place, and India is likely to import this vaccine by the end of the year. Bharat Biotech, remember, Covaxin, that's an inactivated vaccine. That is already doing trials across the country between 6 to 18 years of age, and their results will also be out. They're already doing this in AIIMS centers across the country. Pfizer-BioNTech, again, messenger RNA vaccine, clinical trials done in early February 2021, and the trials showed 99% protection rate. It is approved for inoculation in kids 12 and above in USA, Canada, and even Singapore. Johnson & Johnson, next one, which is a viral vector vaccine, likely to be available in India by July, and it's a single-dose vaccine. But again, the trials on kids between 12 to 17, that's still going on, and we still need to get more data on that. Results and clinical data is not yet known when it comes to their efficacy in kids. Sinovac is another vaccine which is being administered to kids. Well, it's an inactivated virus vaccine, and China has approved that. That's the only country where it is being used at the moment, between kids of 3 and 17 years of age. Indonesia recommends Sinovac vaccine, and that makes it the second country then in the world to actually be administering it to kids. So, well, that's what you need to know about this new DNA vaccine and the others that are in the pipeline as well. Having understood that, let's go ahead and open the discussion to our panel now. We've joined by Dr. Shahid Jamil, back with us on FII. We've got Dr. Cheshal Chet with us, Senior Consultant Pediatrician at Fortis Hospital in Mumbai. We've got Dr. Chatter Vedi joining us from Gangaram Hospital. He's an immunologist there. And we also have Dr. Shenoy with us, also will be giving us, shedding more light on the immune response and how these vaccines are going to be. Dr. Shahid Jamil, first question to you. Your first thoughts on what we know about ZyCov-D so far, and the government of India now saying that this could possibly be the first vaccine kids in India actually end up getting.
Yes, Sonal, I'm actually watching it with much expectation, largely because it's going to be the first DNA vaccine to be licensed for COVID. There are several in the pipeline in phase 2 or phase 3. So I'm hoping that ZyCov-D would be the first in the world. Second is that from the very beginning, this vaccine has been tested on people 12 and above. So it will naturally be tested on children. And as you said in your opening, it's very important to open schools, and also it will be very useful. The third is that it's using a very innovative technology to deliver the vaccine, which is a skin patch. It is not being delivered through an injection, but just by putting a patch like a Band-Aid on your skin. The disadvantage is that you have to take 3 doses instead of 2 doses. So we'll have to see how it pans out, and I'm looking forward to the data and hope that it affords good protection and that the price is also kept low, considering that it is 3 doses.
Right, so lots to look forward to, but still waiting on the efficacy data to try and see actually how this pans out. That's Dr. Shahid Jamil's word on that. Let me bring in Dr. Shenoy. Your thoughts?
Yeah, as Dr. Jamil said, precisely, it's a we are all very expecting the results about this vaccine, because the problem is the phase 2 data, even the phase 2 data is not available in the public domain till now. I think it is extremely important that we see the phase 2 data, and also the phase 3 data gets published in peer-reviewed journals as early as possible before it's widely used. In Covaxin, that has not been done. I think that is one of the major criticisms with Covaxin. So we expect that phase 3 data, which is one of the largest studies, 28,000 patients has been recruited across the country. It has been extensively studied, and it has been studied when the wave was going on. So all these things makes it, in the current scenario, maybe we will have the study in such a way that what is the efficacy of ZyCov-D against the Delta variant which is circulating currently in the country. So the most important advantage is it can be stored at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius, and even room temperature, it is very stable. So it can be distributed in very remote villages also. So that makes it very useful. But on the other side, flip side is, as all of us said, 3 doses is again a minus. And it's a new technology. So all of us are eagerly waiting how the results will come out to be. So we need to see the real-time data to say how much efficacious it is and how we are going to go ahead and use it, and so that what is the efficacy data vis-a-vis other vaccines available.
Okay, let me bring in Dr. Jaisal Sheth now on this. Dr. Jaisal, then when you look at vaccine for kids, what are some of the crucial aspects one needs to watch out for?
I think, Sonal, as other experts have said, the safety is the most important thing, because I think that will be the crucial part, that parents will certainly step forward to get the kids vaccinated. In fact, they would be more inclined to get kids vaccinated. Kids need to go back to school and need to come out of these all restrictions very badly, more than the adults. But at the same time, the most important key factor for everyone to feel safe is basically the safety data. And if these safety data are published, available for everyone to review, published in peer journals, then probably it will bring much more convincing power to all the pediatricians. And I think through the pediatricians and all the clinicians of the country, we can do a lot of work to sensitize the most of the parents to step forward to vaccinate the kids. So I think we have two challenges. One is the safety. Second is, I think, availability is probably sorted out because there is a mass production. And second is sensitization. So as far as as soon as we get the safety data to us, and once we are convinced, I think we can certainly sensitize the whole community to step forward to vaccinate the kid. And we hope that
I think the underlining theme in what all the guests have said so far has been, if I can frankly say that, is don't do what happened with Bharat Biotech. Do not hide in data, do not make it as transparent as possible. Yes, it's going to be another made in India vaccine, it's going to be a path-breaking one as well. The manufacturing challenges are not here because their commitment is going to be 75% of the production first going in to government production. That is really the key in getting any vaccine here in the country. Dr. Chatter Vedi, are you also looking at this vaccine with the same pinch of salt, that let's not be opaque here, let's be transparent about all the data that comes out on this vaccine?
Look, DNA vaccine probably is much, actually speaking, they are already in veterinary sciences. After all, the science remains the same. So if you really ask me, for dog, for melanoma, they use DNA vaccine. So it's not been successful in the human for many reasons. Otherwise, they are very safe, they are very stable, and they are very inexpensive. They are not very expensive. The biggest problem is low immunogenicity. The immunogenicity is low. That's why you require 1 dose, 2nd dose, and 3rd dose. Because of the our biggest problem is our population. That's why in fact, the government of India and other people, even NAGBAC, that is expert committee, they have told Supreme Court that we are prepared. That's why so many vaccines are coming. So one after another, you already have 3 vaccines. This is the 4th vaccine in pipeline. The biggest issue is, this is the first time a DNA vaccine has been used for the human being. Let's see how effective it is, because its immunogenicity is very low. They are not very effective vaccine. As other people have also said, probably you require to see the data, whether they are probably trying to finish the trial in July, and maybe it comes in August. So let's see what happens. Emergency approval, probably they will apply for the emergency approval, and they will get also emergency approval. But let's see what happens. Yes, safety, whether it's for children or for adults, safety remains. They are very safe vaccine, I must tell you. Biggest problem will be how effective it will be. This is a vaccine like vaccine.
Okay. Dr. Jamil, then this is what it's coming down to, that the pricing is going to be cheap, as Dr. Chatter Vedi was saying, that you mentioned about how it will just be like a bandage. You don't need an injection really, so you don't need typically a nurse to administer that. Can we say that?
At this time, I think it will require some medical professional to administer it.
Okay.
Just because the technology is so new. Yeah, I don't think it will be initially a home application vaccine. Possibly later, yes.
Then why do you think nobody across the world has tried it out yet? I'm just a little curious about this DNA mechanism.
Sonal, I'm not able to hear you at all.
Okay, let me fix that. I'll request my producers to quickly fix up that audio with Dr. Jameel. Let me go back to Dr. Chatter Vedi there. Dr. Chatter Vedi, same question to you. How is it that nobody else has tried out this DNA vaccine?
Look, when you make a vaccine, if you're handling a virus, it is unsafe. Like Covaxin, which are making, it's not an easy job to handle a virus. It's unsafe. So people want to try something which is safe. So safe is DNA and RNA is safer. The biggest problem is a low immunogenicity. So that's why people have not tried probably. Though it has been tried in dog also, it has been probably tried for cancer. It was tried for HIV. So probably it was tried for HIV, then probably it didn't go ahead. I don't know what happened to those HIV vaccines. It is tried for cancer also. It is tried for one more disease probably that is in the horse, which is called as West Nile disease. So veterinary people are using it. I really don't know. Maybe more people who knows better than me, maybe some people can throw light.
Dr. Jameel, I'm hoping you're able to hear me now. Okay, but I think you're on mute though.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Not from my side.
Okay, great. So I was just trying to understand more about this DNA vaccine tech and how is it that we've not had anywhere else in the world the DNA vaccine actually being made so far. How significant and landmark is this going to be? What are some of the complexities and perhaps the capabilities with it?
Well, the good thing about DNA vaccines is that DNA as a product is very easy to make. And it is very stable. Unlike RNA, which is difficult to make and it is not very stable. So those are the good things. But the DNA has to be taken up by our cells, converted to RNA, and that RNA has to be converted to protein. So it's an extra step that way. And as I heard Dr. Chatter Vedi say earlier, DNA vaccines have proven not to be very immunogenic. That's true. So hopefully they are using some adjuvants with it, which will increase the immunogenicity of this vaccine. And the fact that it is being applied intradermally between the the layers of the skin, that is where some very critical cells in the immune system are present. So hopefully those cells will be taking up this vaccine and processing it better. Injectable DNA vaccines haven't really worked very well in the past. So there are several innovations that Zydus Cadila has done here. And I'm hoping it will work because if DNA vaccines work, our life gets much simpler in the days ahead.
Right. On that great note, let me slip into a break. When we come back, we'll try and sort of decode other vaccines that are available for kids which are in the pipeline as well. And how badly does India really need to vaccinate the kids right now? That's also a perspective we'll get from our guest. That's on the other side. Welcome back. We're discussing vaccine for kids and a candidate that might be out in the market here in the country as early as August. Well, let me go back to Dr. Shahid Jameel over there. Dr. Shahid Jameel, we discussed the entire tech of this vaccine earlier on. I want to talk about the importance of vaccinating kids and how soon do you think that should be done, and do you think that's the only way forward? That's the only way out of the pandemic?
Unfortunately, I can't hear you, Sonal. The audio patch is really bad.
All right, terribly sorry for that. Let me fix that up for you. Let me take that question to Dr. Jaisal as well.
Sonal, ultimately, we all know COVID is preventable if we follow COVID measures. It's very difficult to convince the children to follow the COVID measures all the time. And they are in the restricted capacity, and really, believe me, if a kid who the mother today brought to my OPD for the vaccination, she felt like she was in the garden instead of in the OPD, because they have not gone out of the house or, from the society for days and weeks and months. So I think somewhere, as as of now, it's very, very difficult to maintain COVID measures with small children. Very difficult not to allow the children to experience the real schools. All the exams are delayed, admissions are delayed. So, we have to move somewhere. So hopefully today or tomorrow, this is the only way out. There are two concerns. One is the safety of the vaccines and other is the milder disease in the children. But still, we have to build up some level of the vaccination scale in the children to get the schools going where they can come back to the real life.
Sure.
So
but I'm hearing caution also in what you're saying, because anyways there is a bit of a hesitancy, and when it comes to kids, our messaging has to be right. Otherwise, to convince parents to take a vaccine right now, which is going to be the first of its kind, could also be a bit of a challenge, if I can say that. Dr. Shenoy, your word on this, please.
Yeah, definitely efficacy is a very, very important thing. In Covaxin study, for example, CTRI has registered, they are studying 600 patients just looking at the immunogenicity. As all of us know, immunogenicity cannot be translated into the efficacy. So it's extremely important that the sizable trial is done so that we know what is the efficacy of this vaccine in children, how much they are protected. That is extremely important, because as of one thing is very clear, even if children get COVID, they are not becoming sick in most of the times. 1 in 1,000 they become sick. So even if a vaccine which has 1 in 500 serious side effect, I won't recommend it to the kids. So it has to be extremely safe and extremely efficacious. Then only it should be recommended to the kids. So we need to see the results before jumping into conclusions. And another very important thing we should emphasize is that another advantage of DNA vaccine is that we can easily manipulate it for new variants, like mRNA vaccine. So that is one of the very good, like a word file, we can change the structure in such a way that the new vaccine is made. Once the efficacy is proven, of the technology is proven, immunogenicity and real life efficacy is proven, it is very easy to manufacture for the next variant.
Right, so your booster dose could actually be targeted towards a specific variant as well. So that's really going to be a game changer when it comes to these vaccines. Thank you all for joining us with your thoughts on this. That's all on FII today. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.